Hey everyone, Sean Innovative here. Just wanted to go over and uh, put a little video here on how we go about executing the best setups that we can with utilizing trend law. It's in doing this, I know got asked a lot of questions as to is this entry good, is that entry good? So I figured I'd just make a video on how I go about executing entries and then show you different um, aspects of everything part of it and make sure that, everyone's pretty much on the same page. I think the first thing is understanding the behavior of the MACD as we're going in. All right. Uh, there's a few things that I've noticed over the years because I've utilized MACD an awful lot. Okay. And one would be just the basic uh, positioning of the MACD where it is off of the zero line. So typically you're above, you basically have more of a long bias. Below the zero line, it's short bias. That's why it's part of the rules. Another is having this line here. Let's see if I can grab that line. Okay, this line right there. The one that's turning green and red is our MACD line. The purple line that goes to teal, this one is our signal line. That's the slower move. All right. So you get a crossover doesn't mean to automatically go. What we're looking for also is our EMAs. All this means, like say if we're above and it's crossing down, is that we're in a pullback. Okay. Since we're above the zero line, once this crosses, we're just in a pullback. See this here? All right. So that crossed there, and we have a pullback that starts there. So there, as it crosses up, all right, the pullback is already done. We're moving up. Okay, so this is showing you exactly where the pullbacks are, and the pullbacks are finishing. Comes back, we have a cross here, another pullback. Okay, and these are the standard MACD. I'm going to show you a couple other things on the 40 on how that works as well. But you have the basic understanding here, because once we crossed the zero line, look at our EMAs. We're down, we're below, right here. We're looking pure downtrend. Okay, this crossed up here, we got a pullback. Right here as it's coming down, crossing. Here's the thing, we're even on a 5 minute. Trend line broke, it's crossing down below it. You have yourself a little bit of a run. All right. Now, we utilize this on the 40 mostly, but just wanted to show you why we have certain rules and why they're there and give you a better understanding of how come trend lock works the way it does. Okay. So we have our EMAs. We already know the 8 is below the 21, which actually have to adjust this one. Uh, hit a line, two. I like this to be smaller, so I'll do that. Okay, see it's a little thinner, so you could actually identify it a little bit easier. Okay, 'cause if you have just two lines running, you're not sure what's going on, and they're the same thickness. All right, so we got to here, we got a pullback, it broke the pullback. You see it's coming up, we got a little bit of a slope up, and we got a little bit of movement. But this is with the standard. Okay, and now if we zoom this out, we have our standard. We're above zero. Cross below, we got our pullback. All right. Now, what we're utilizing to identify when we're getting back in, all right, like here, we're above the 8 is above the 21. All right. All right, now leave it there. And here, Oh, this MACD. Do this here again. Had to play around and rebuild my system a couple times over the last couple of weeks. So bear with me for a second. Okay, there we go. So as it's crossing up, we have the MACD line on the standard. That's above the signal line. All right. So that's part of the rules. On the 5 minute, if we look at the crosshairs, we're crossing up the MACD right about here. All right. But we're way above the zero line. Okay. Do this here. So we're way above the zero line. Zero line's down here. Okay. We typically want it to be up and above for getting our long signal. Here we crossed up above the A crossed above the 21 EMA. We're above. Everything's looking good. But our rule is when the 40 crosses up, we need a pullback. All right. So as we're looking at our order flow here, basically got to pull back right where these two deltas pulled back. But if you look here, this candle has a decent wick on it, but it never came to the 8. Here we got to the 8 EMA. It starts pushing up, but this is where on the 5 minute it's crossing the signal line. Okay. So as it crosses the signal line, another behavior that the MAC does is it has a pullback. Okay. Typically, when that happens, there's a pullback of some sort. So we look at the 40, we got another pullback right here. All right. Since that was just crossing on the 5, we could wait for that pullback. As that pullback happens, you're looking down here. All right. We had -5%, -3%, +30 on this candle. Didn't really get that far. Okay. We got the other pullback coming down. It only took a little bit of effort to start getting this to go. We had a negative delta on this one. All right. But we still closed up. So we had our delta divergence right on that one. We had positive delta here with the delta divergence. And we're crossing our fast line right here. Okay. As we're seeing this, that is a great entry to push us. All right. When this candle closes, we're pretty close to closing up on the fast. But if we look at the standard, we're well above zero. The fast is above zero and crossing up, and we're crossing the MACD on the 5. If we look at the EMAs on the 5, the 8 never crossed below the 21. So we have a continuation trade on the 5 minute. We have all the momentum going to the upside, and we have confidence that right here, that the buyers are in control. They're taking it over. The sellers tried to hold it down, and they couldn't do it. All right. So that's a good trade right here. Get in here, and 6.5 points, $130. Nothing crazy, but still a good trade. Here it came back down, it's pushing up. We have a lot of negative delta. We're below the signal line here. All right. And we can see the MACDs coming together. All right. Once this crosses down, we have no trades. We have no trades because we're in a pullback. Okay. So while this line is red, we have no trades. All right. We get here. Look at the fast MACD. It didn't really get below zero line. Popped up, popped up, popped up. It's pulling away here. Okay. We had a test of the 21 here. We had absorption here, more absorption here. So we had 63 here, -73 here, and we're pushing up. Pulls back up again, back down. You see this wick here. Let me see if I can see a little more to the candles. All right. Right here, we have two POCs that are together. This came down here, bringing most of the volume here. That pushed up. We're above this here. We're starting to go up. All right. As we're crossing above the 8 EMA, you have the 21 and the 8 EMA, and you're closing up. Everything else is telling you that we're moving up. All right. Especially the fast MACD here. This is where you want to start looking for getting into positions. If this didn't feel comfortable to you, all right, if you had 14% here, pushed up on 774, 1900, so there's a lot more contracts here, all right, with a negative 3%, and they weren't able to bring it down. These sellers with this surge, once they got overtaken right here, was an entry, all right. Personally, as this is crossing up here, I may have even gotten in on this one, probably got stopped out, and then got in on this one. Okay. Back here, no go. You're way below. Once you start crossing, you have more confidence that you're going to continue. All right. Now we are below here, so this is not an A plus setup. Okay. It's a, it's a valid trade in the aspect of it did work out. All right. This here, I would have been more comfortable with as going. Once you got to here, have all this. Now, here is an interesting one. If you look at the amount of absorption we had here, 635 contracts absorbed. Down surge bar. There is no way I want to trade into that on the next candle. That shows that you had strong selling coming down. All right. To go up into it, you got to make sure you get through there first before getting in, because for shortly above this is going to be more sellers. All right. Somebody sat here taking up everything that was here, and you want to make sure that they are done getting their orders filled before you move up. This is why order flow is important. Seeing things like this gives you a hint like, okay, we have some work to get through before we could go any further. Okay. Absorbing 182 to keep moving. Okay. 635. That's a wall. All right. Came back down. Starts pushing back up again. And then as we're here, all right. At least one other aspect we didn't do here was if I was to take my trend line. All right. Here it's breaking up and above, but we're below. Could have taken this line to here. Remember, off of if this one doesn't break and we're breaking the MACD fast line, you move the trend line from the highest point on over to this point for your continuation. Entry could have been here. This was here. Not really a solid one, like we said. If it was taken, say it was from here, still, 4.25 points, but scalping it is. All right. Now, this is showing, I think, the end of the day here on one of the days that we had recently. So I think this is 6/3 that I have on here, 4 days. Um, okay, so right now you have an idea of exactly how the MACDs are working. This one here, we're below, so not really much to do. This trade here, we're above, it's breaking up and above. We have a solid scenario for taking a trade there. Okay. Uh, let's see. Another thing that the fast will give you are hints on is little divergences. So look, we came down, but this made a lower high. All right. You think of the fast as price action. Okay. Lower highs, higher lows, right here. You had a lower high here, you had a higher low. Okay. high or low with this, it moved up a little. Low or high, move back down. Okay. The way it works with the signal line, this is pretty much letting you know exactly how the price action is going with the fast. When you put it in conjunction with the slow, that gives, this is a little bit more reactive than the standard. Okay. And this gives you a little more hints as to what's going on. So like here, we broke above. Everything is pretty much in line on the 5 minute, right, till about here. But even still, we broke above. We got our pullback on the fast, which shows you right here. As this is breaking up, we're crossing on a 5 minute. This here is an entry. All right. Now, if we look here on this pullback, all right, through this whole section here, look at the delta. We have negative delta majority. But where did price go? Price went up. Our momentum still stood up while sellers were stepping in. All right. So as sellers were stepping in, the buyers ended up, once they started overtaking them, meanwhile, the momentum was still going up. So when the sellers gave up on pushing it down and the buyers step in a little bit, what happens? We move up. All right. So with this one here, this is crossing up. If you didn't like it here, because here it didn't break really. All right. So this one here, we're there, 15 and a quarter points. Okay. Now, you already know that this works pretty much around the clock. So here we had a cross down of the five EMAs. We already had the MACD down, cross down below before. So now everything is below. Okay. Right here. Everything's below. Our zero line down here on the standard is below. We got our pullback on the fast. As this crosses back down, there's your price action, letting you know the price is going back to the downside. Okay? Everything is aligned on the 5 minute. We have everything showing here. Now, we had absorption with trap traders showing us the pullback. We got the pullback. We see what's going on. We had minus 56 contracts right here, minus 11. The sellers are doing their work. They're almost done. All right. These are hints that give you what you need to let you know this is a good trade. You want to be in it. Now it's time to just take it home. All right. 31 points. A nice little run. That was 18 minutes after hours. All right. On the overnight open. So everything was aligned on the 5 minute. We were below the 80 MA is below the 21. The MACD is below the signal on the 5. 5 is completely done. The 1 minute. 8 is below the 21. Price is going. You're good. Come here on the 40. 8 is below the 21. We were down, but when this finally crosses the zero line, this is the MACD line. You want this below the zero line. It's below. It's pulling back. It gives you a little bit of a green here that's showing that it's sloping up. But we can see it right here with the fast. We're pulling back. You don't know what the pullback is done until this is crossing. Now this can just cross. And then if you see it cross and then start seeing this candle going down, you want to get in. So honestly, if we would have gotten in even on this candle, all right, instead of being in here, you would have been in here, all right. This still brings us from here for a stop to there for a stop, there for a stop. We're still good. So if you got in a little early on that one, you were still covered. Over here, if you got in, Being above, you're in trouble because the pullback was not done and complete. Look at the delta being positive. This being down, we're still on a pullback and above. You have positive delta. Do you want to get into that? Doesn't make sense. You want to wait until you're down, momentum's going back with you, all right? And you have your negative delta, you want delta to be with you. If you have a delta divergence, all right, and I want to show this in a little bit here. I'll try not to make this video too much. But while you're in the trade, see this percentage number? I'm going to show you exactly what I look for as we're getting into trades. These numbers are going to change as the bar is forming. As these numbers change, it's showing you how the control in that range is happening. All right. It unfolds in front of you. You're able to see it. You can see the change and you get a little more of a feel of an understanding of what to do. Okay. Like right here, this is a pullback of the major. All right. With the standard being here. We crossed up here. We're pulling back, waiting for it to come back down. We're still below on the 5, so we're still just looking for shorts. This is crossing back down on the standard. All right. This crossed here, right for the pullback. Here, you could have gotten in. All right. Let's see. So, say if you got in on this one here, actually, probably would have been more of this one. Nope, because we're not really touching the 5 here. We have the surge here. All right, see, there's a good one. So you have two surges going up. We got a surge here. So this is a simple surge. Scalp that failed. All right. Look at the momentum on the fasts. This didn't break zero hardly. Our momentum here is completely flat on the standard, but this is making a lower high. You have a lower high. This is breaking down, showing you where we're going. We're looking for shorts. This is giving you more conviction as to what's happening. Okay. Could have waited for it to go down further. Do this, get rid of that real quick. Let's get rid of that real quick. Okay, so we want to see what we had here. We got trap traders right here. This is off of one of my levels, which I was going to make a video this evening about, but I thought that getting into the trades is a little bit more important at this moment, considering the amount of questions I had over the last week and a half or so. So we have minus 22 delta here. We have trap traders pushing up. So you have a little bit of absorption here, nothing tremendous. Okay. But it brought price back up. So we're coming back down. Our prior low is right here. We have some room to figure out. So here would have been even a decent trade to take. Didn't yield you much. But as this crosses here, it crossed, pull back, enter. We entered here. We're below. This is on delta divergence. We already know that is one of my levels. So this is a trade I personally wouldn't have taken. But understanding what's going on, still a decent trade setup wise. So we'll take that from there. This one ends up getting stopped out right there for minus 3.5 points. So you had a small loss. Comes over to here. We're still looking for shorts. Okay. You got this one to cross down here. Right there. Another one for 2.5 points. Okay. Now where it gets interesting. So we have this here. We start from here to there. Okay. So we have our trend line. Now we know how trend lines work with range bars. They are pretty reactive to it. So came here. We had our second drop down. Meanwhile, we're above the zero line here. Okay. Since we're above the zero line, we're not looking for an entry just yet. Want to see what happens. All right. We're looking on the 5. We're above. We're above. We're above the MACD. Right about here on the 5 minute, the MACD is crossing down. We're below the zero line and it's crossing down. We have our trend line here on the 40. We're getting all the clues we need. We had absorption here. We had absorption here. We had our trend line. Everything's breaking. This is a full confirmed trade. Okay. Now for me, this candle right here with this wick showing that it pushed up and this candle is closing just below here, that shows me an entry. I would be entering on this next bar here, right there. Take this straight down to here. Would have gotten stopped out right there for 30 points, 29.5 points. Okay. That's as clean as they get. We had our continuation trade that ran straight down. So you grab 29.5 points here. We're out 2.5 here, three and a quarter there. So 5 and 7 fives. So roughly around 23-point gain on all three of those trades. All right. And you're only running at 30% win rate. You've lost two, but you won one. This winner, taking care of your losses, that's a positive R, uh, R value on your trade setup. Okay. Now, with this one here, another thing that we had was delta. We had positive 12 pushing up here, -8, -8. This candle here going down being double digits. That's awesome. And you'd be seeing this growing as this is coming down. Double digits means a lot to me. All right. When you see double digits, that's giving you clear signs of the amount of strength. All right. Here it's coming back down. We're crossing. We're above. We're pretty far down. If you were to take it, it's not really part of the rules until here, which would be this one here. You have a surge bar. That's a break-even trade. All right. I know some guys want to be more price action with it and do the wings they want to. That's fine. You could have crossed when the fast got done and maybe got a little bit. All right. The risk to reward is not that great, but the momentum's behind you. And, everyone's got their own ways of what they want to believe. Here, we're riding on the top of the standard. There is no chase to look for. We crossed the MACD here. We're not above the zero, but so you could technically look for longs right here. We could be looking for longs, okay? But we don't have anything set up on the 40 for a long just yet. Uh, then all of a sudden we cross down here on the 5 minute. We have nothing on the 40. 40 is not looking good. You're wondering why I'm not mentioning the 1 minute. Is right now in this market here, it's not looking too pertinent for what we're looking at. Let's see. So right at here, the 5 minute crossed up, right here. We have a signal right here. Right now we have a long signal for everything. Even on the 1 minute, we're above the 8, it's above the 21. Everything looks good. We have a huge amount of positive delta imbalances here. That's a law. Yep, it's crossing up, just crossing over the signal line. Now, the momentum on the signal line is down on the standard. So we're out a nice 2.5 points. And then all of a sudden we cross down, don't really get a pullback. Everything goes. Let's see. The standard MACD now. We have our pullback zone. We're in the pullback zone till about here. It breaks down now. Since we have the pullback zone and you see the pullback zone, that's when you want to start pulling your trend line. We're still above. There's nothing. Still above. Nothing. Still above. Nothing. Still above. Nothing. Here it crossed down. So that's there. This breaks down. Everything's breaking down simultaneously. You see the amount that this was hugging the zero line. So this pullback is just hovering right on the top of the downside. All right. So you see the way that everything's just running. As this breaks down, we have these negative numbers on top. Trap traders that just got taken. Right here is buying remorse. This takes it here, take this low. All right. It's continuation trade. Look at the 5 minute. We're below the 8, below the 21. MACDs below the signal line. We're a complete go for taking this. You do not need to wait for the crossover and the candle close below. All right. Especially with the 5. We want to see stack DMAs and the MACD below. Don't need to worry so much of the candle closing on the 5 minute especially. Okay. As long as the EMAs are stacked, prices below the 8 EMA when they're stacked, MACD is below the signal line. On the 1 minute, you have the 8 and the 21 stacked with the price below it. So this here is a great entry. Take that one there. All right. And this one comes to here. Another scalp. All right. 2.75. Actually, if we would have gotten in a little bit sooner, but count for some slippage. All right. When you came down after we got into it, you have your stop loss. I usually leave it a little above. If I get close to it, depends on how the price action is. But you see this surge bar right on this next one. Drop it right down afterwards. Drop it down again. And just keep following the bearish bars as it goes. Seeing this cross back up, we have another signal. It's looking for a pullback. We didn't cross here yet, but you saw the green. You're seeing it go. You were stopped because you were trailing like supposed to, so it doesn't really matter. But when does it stop you out? As the pullback happens. Okay? Now we're here. MACD on the 5 crossed up. EMAs are crossing up. We're looking for longs. Everything's up and above. This is crossing up right here, right on this one here. We have strong negative. Brought it down. We're here. We had a surge here that didn't really stick. Then they tried again. We're pushing up. The momentum's still following us. Remember, this is not just order flow. It is order flow with momentum trading and price action all in one. All right. And since we're scalping, as long as we're ahead, we're ahead. All right. 3 1/4 points. All right. Yeah. So we didn't get the whole move. The whole move would have been 14.5. But we don't know if this is just going to continue going. How many times did we just see NQ run? Uh, Now, doing the same thing again. We got a pullback. So here we got the pullback. It's crossing down. Here's the top of our candle. Here's this one here. Personally, I wouldn't be going from this one here. I'd be going from the next one. It should be right here. Here. That was the next one down. This is crossing up. We're above. All right. Seeing this negative here. 5 minutes crossing up, back up. Our 8 EMA has never crossed down below the 21. Since the 8 EMA did not cross below 21, we do not need to wait for a pullback. All right. This is continuation trade. This isn't a new trade. So since it didn't cross below, we could enter right on this candle here. This is crossing up and above here. All right. This one here was another trade that could have been done, but technically, yes. We got into this one here, that went up. This one technically could have gotten into this one here too. All right, that would have been a break even. This one here, no good, no good. This is crossing back up and crossing above the zero at the same time. We have our trend line breaking. Right? We have our delta. Look at the delta on the bottom. You have 10 and then 62. Suppliers really stepped in. We had a stacked selling imbalance here. We're crossing up. This is starting to slope up. We're above the zero line. So this is a pullback that's starting to fail. Okay. Right here, everything's looking good. Trailing this up. And since we're trailing it, bring it right to that one there. 14.75 points. Since we're above, we're looking good. It's here, failed to come down. So it stopped us out here, but we got right back in. The fast is above the signal line. Reclosed up, felt the push down, but didn't really get very far. It didn't get our momentum to slow down and stop. It brought it back, just a pullback. Okay, we're above. Our momentum's still moving on our standard MACD. The fast is our price action. Our price action didn't break the signal line. Didn't break the signal line. We still have room to go. Okay, from here, 32 1/4 points. That's why we trail, because we don't know when it wants to stop. Right here, see, it stopped us here. It broke down below. Now this one's breaking up and above. Right afterwards, we're still above the standard MACD. We're still good to go. Okay? Everything else, notice I'm not looking at anything else right now. Why? Because everything's still good to go. Our 40 right now is telling us exactly what it needs to do. Once we start going up in this momentum, we don't really need to focus on what's going on the 5, what's going on the 4, on the 1. We need to know what's going on our 40 as we're going. Because right here, we're in an uptrend. We already know that if we're in an uptrend here, we're in an uptrend on the 5, we're in an uptrend on the 1, we're good to go. All right. And this one stopped us out here. So we're here. We would get back in on this one. Even if you got into the candle afterwards, all right, which would have been right about here on top of this one, we got another 6.5 points. If we would have gotten there when this one started, 11.5 points. Well, I like to be conservative. Give it 6.25 points. And there we are. All right. In this one run going up, let's see. That first one here was a winner. So 4.5, 14.75. So 18.25, 19, 19.25 right here. All right. With the 32. Uh, 20, 30, 50, 56 points, 57, 58. With, if you want to count everything else, with well over 50 points in one push. All right. Took a bit of time since it was in the pre-market, but still works. All right. This is where I had this is right now on playback. So I wanted to just do a little bit going into it for be able to show you guys exactly on how it works when we're going live and how everything flies here. All right. 10:20 in the morning. Let's see what we got here. Right now we're looking at being in a, okay. So before I play this here, let's stop. So we are on the 5, we're above the 0 line, and we see these above the signal. We're in an uptrend. We're looking for longs. On the 1, 8 above the 21, we're looking for longs. We're above the 0 line here. We're looking for longs. All right. So that's all we need to know right now is we're looking for longs. Let's see what the 40 gives us. We're looking for longs. All right. Now, we have some chart creators here. We had right here, delta surge to the downside. Okay. We have a pullback going on the standard. Putting this out here because we still need to get this to cross up. Um, that's not it. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's there. This is crossing. That's
Order
process. We can
filled.
take that. The reason we're taking it, we're crossing up here. I took it a little too soon. But let's see. We have good positive delta. Everything is looking pretty decent right there. All right. We do have these sellers here to get across. These sellers here still in control. So they brought it back down. So we didn't get past them yet. We didn't get to that portion. We did break the trend line. The fast did cross up, but technically, this is a bad trade. That was a bad entry. I was jumping the gun. Let's see what happens. All right. We did have the 8 above the 21, so we have some momentum with us, but not fully yet, because the standard is below. Since the standard is below, this is probably going to close us out. We have this amount of volume here, decent amount of volume here with these value areas. So we have decent value, but we have this here. You know what?
Order filled.
I'm closing that there. I saw a delta surge pushing down here. There it is. Okay. And we're below. Not worth the risk. Take a small stop. Not worth going. All right. Wait till our conditions are met, and then we go from there. At this point here, this trend line is pretty void. Um, we have to go up the 8. Not really. Negative delta. If we have a decent amount of delta to push up, and it's having a hard time with some negative delta here, we're looking at negative 2%. And it broke down. Okay. So, let's move this trend line here. Uh, Now, all right, now we're getting this is sloping up. The ADMA is sloping up. All right. We're getting across and we broke above. Let's see how our delta's looking. Delta's not looking good for us. Is there a reason to get into the trade? Not really. So we still want to get above these guys here. All right. This value here is still holding us. I actually want there's 3 candles. POC of those 3 candles is down here. Look at that. Value area is more to the downside on that. It's interesting. All right. Now we're below. Everything's not, we didn't close strong going above this. We didn't get a strong push to break out of this. Our delta was telling us that. Seeing the way that this was going, that it couldn't get above here, that's our signal. Is that a good entry? No. We tried once and we were failing here. We were below. We never got above the signal line. It did for a brief second, and then it closed back down below it. The 40, wish to wait for a close on the 40, that's never a bad thing. This is our sniper entry. Okay? Right now, we're still on the pullback because we're above the zero line. So it's just a pullback. On the 5 minute, we are way above the zero line with the MACD. The 8 EMA is what way above the 21. So we wait. We'll speed this up a little bit. So I'm not just sitting here watching nothing happening. All right. I'm at 20%. All right, let's see. It drops down. Everything looks like it wants to go down. Let's see what happens here. Pulling back up. Pulling back up. Okay. I'm going to stop this right here. Let's lower the speed. Now we just pulled back up to the trend line. All right. We already had 2 touches. Looking at the third. Looking at the delta. Delta is still single numbers pushing up. We had quite a few large negative numbers bringing it down with a bunch of contracts that sellers, 36 contracts got held right here. Positive contracts were there. Okay, let's see what we get here. So we're above, we're still looking, we're still looking. We're ADMA, the MACD is above the signal line on the 5. We're hitting the trend line. Our ADMA is below the 21 on the 40. So we know we have to wait for there. Once this crosses, we would need a pullback. We have a continuation with the 5 minute. Okay. All right, so single digits negative delta, selling imbalance. Remember, these once they go to cross, you usually get that pullback. This crossed, you're getting a little pullback. This is crossing and coming to the zero line. We're still looking to see what happens here. All right, speed it up a little. Speed up a little more. All right. They're pushing out. Mhm. Okay, right there, I just paused it. Our ADMA across the 21. We're here pushing up and going above. We have this trend line to deal with here. Let's see what we get. I'm going to drop this down, speed, because this is looking positive right here. Right here on the 1 minute, everything's stacked and going above. If we could break this going to the upside, we have a decent run. Another pullback, we have a push, one-legged, two-legged pullback. Doing price action wise, here goes push, one-legged, two-legged, double digits positive delta pushing up. We got our pullback. This is crossing up above the zero line. What do we got? If the sellers hold it here, we got some trouble. Try not to speed it up so we get right in when we need to. Bulldog. All right, so this is pushing to the upside. Everything's looking
Order
good.
filled.
I will just take that there. We had a bulldog pushing up into here. We have this trap traders right here to deal with, so this is going to be the little issue. But we crossed, it pushed up a little, came back down. Now it's going back to the upside. All right, let's see what we get. It's pulling back. There it is. So the standard MACD crossed up. The signal line is crossing up now. We're getting some negative delta. Will be positive. Right now it's still going. Momentum's behind us, pushing up. And the EMAs are actually spreading apart a bit. See what we got. And all right, it's a winner. Move this up a little. Let's see. Bring this up to 647.50. All right. I like to always front run. I do have a line here, so I could have just kept it where it was there. So that's just typically how I go. Whenever I have a line, I usually utilize it as a target, my levels. Right. For the sake of the exercise, let's see if we get another one up. Nice, nice number right there. 200s. There's delta below. Having a good push. It's not getting very far. That's a little concerning. I would do this. I see the absorption popping. Don't want to do it just yet. Just follow the rules. Follow the rules. Already we got to win. It's a quarter to 11, whatever day this was. And price action is kind of slow. Oh, it's just that slow week that we had. All right. Well, after this one, you guys are getting a good idea how it works with trend line, where we're going. All right. So I wanted to get basic understanding of the MACD, the importance of it, and how it works the most. When above the zero line, we're looking for long, so that's showing you the upward uptrend momentum. Okay. When you have the MACDs above the signal lines, that's when we're going. And also the 5 minute, same thing. You want the standard to be MACD above the signal line. You can see where to get the pullback. We also got the pullback here where it was below. All right. It dropped down a little bit, but it failed. So we had a failed breakdown here. All right. And then it went up. We got ourselves a winner just by watching the order flow and our MACDs on where they're going. So this is our fast price action. This is the overall price action on our other MACDs. So giving us the momentum. It's also showing you what the price action's doing when we have it with the color changing. Okay. We had a two-legged pullback here and this went up. I honestly could have went like this with a measured move. Brings us right to there. And see if I'm up there. Yes, curiosity at this point. We got a two-legged pullback after one leg moving up. So in a perfect world, that would hit that target. All right. We crossed up here. It gave us a bit of a pullback just within the bar, and then it curled up. This was above the zero line. It pushed up, pulled back, didn't break, and it held and it went. As this went, we were above the zero line. Gave us a positive to get into the trade. All right. Bring us below that selling imbalance right there. See that selling imbalance? These sellers that are in here and this went up, they want to get out. So when they get out, something short, they have to buy. It gives it pressure to go back up.
Target
See?
filled.
Oh, look at that. And the measured move hit and it kept going. Honestly, we could have went up to here, but our target was ended up being at the 37 right there. You have to measure moving a little more. So that's how it went. All right, guys. Hope this was able to help you. And I'll see you guys on the next one. If there's any other questions, we will go over them while we're in the room. All right. Have a good one.